what is the special role of a mayor? Well, the role of being a mayor is to speak for the city or town represented. They're the representative of the people. While the mayor is political by nature, of course, they're elected there and they're going to hold political views. They're expected to set the personal politics aside when they're at functions representing constituents. Calgary Mayor Jyoti Gondek threw all that out the window when she allowed her anti-Semitic views to dominate her actions and boycotted a menorah lighting in Calgary. Now, the lighting of the menorah has been a tradition in Calgary City Hall for 35 years. Mayors of multiple faiths have diligently attended and respectfully taken part in the joyous Jewish tradition of celebrating light over darkness with the lighting of a menorah. It kicks off the observance of Hanukkah and offers a bonding event for Jews and non-Jews alike. But Gondek went and cast darkness over the tradition as she misrepresented what it was about and then boycotted it as publicly as she could. She brought shame to the office of mayor and by extension to the city of Calgary. Gondek's snub of Calgary's Jewish citizens had the opposite effect she hoped for, though. The event enjoyed record attendance as the City Hall atrium was packed and overflowed into the hallways of the building. The only complaint I have of the event, I went there myself, was how the uncomfortable heat was generated with a room jammed with so many people. And for those who've never attended one, just imagine a menorah lighting is something like a Christmas concert. Most, Canadians have been to one of those. Yeah, there's a bit of a religious element. Most of the affair is focused on community bonding and having a good time. There was music, dancing, food, and children's choirs sang traditional songs. It wasn't politicized, and it certainly wasn't a rally or a hateful event. So why did Gondek go out of her way to discredit herself and embarrass the entire city of Calgary with her attack on the event? Well, there was a poster that came out days before the event, and it had the words, "Support Israel" on it. Yes, Jews were supporting their traditional homeland of thousands of years. Neither the poster or the event spoke of supporting the war or supporting the government of Israel. Those are different things. It was simply a statement of support for a country that the vast majority of Canadians agree has the right to exist. In trying to call that statement controversial, Gondek's mask vanished. She's among those extremists who feel Israel shouldn't exist. She feels Jews shouldn't be able to even express the desire of wanting to maintain the nation of Israel. Supporters of Gondek's vile stance have also been falsely claiming that war bonds were sold at the event. They're purposely misrepresenting the practice of giving out 2 Israel bonds, these are savings bonds, just like you can get a Canada savings bond, to children at the event in a raffle. It happens every year. It has for years and years. It had nothing to do with the war. Doesn't matter. Gondek keeps doubling down. She keeps talking about this. When Gondek snidely told organizers she wouldn't attend, they did at least ask. They tried negotiating. They said, could you quietly step out of the role? She said, no. She wants to make noise about it. They said, well, if you're going to put out a press release, will you show it to us so we can respond? She said, no. And she put out a charged release full of misinformation about the event. Now, condemnation of Gondek's move was immediate, and aside from among some extremists, it was universal. Veteran Calgary Herald columnist Don Braid began a column with the words, "Jyoti Gondek is not fit to be the mayor of Calgary." Braid's usually restrained. I mean, he can certainly be cutting with his columns, but he was clearly outraged by Gondek's repugnant actions. And he's right. Gondek isn't fit to be mayor. Sadly, it's going to be 2 years before Calgarians can do anything about that. The day after the menorah lighting, Gondek went on the Calgary radio show, and while she was drawing condemnation and ire across the entire country over this by now, rather than just showing a bit of contrition or even just going to carpet, she doubled down. She implied those sneaky Jews had pulled the wool over her eyes with the issuing of that poster. The poster was issued well before Gondek's boycott. And it was the same nature as posters from years gone by. Gondek has been roundly called out by several columnists and others for spreading the old anti-Semitic trope about these sneaky Jews. She remains defiant, though, and unapologetic, despite having offended Calgary's entire Jewish community, and of course many people outside of the community, during what are very challenging times. All Gondek would have had to have done is show up, smile, say some nice words, and move on. But her loathing of the Jewish community just wouldn't let her. Jews represent less than 2% of Canada's population, yet nearly 70% of the reported hate crimes in Canada are against Jews. That's due to the sort of divisive, hateful leadership shown by people such as Jyoti Gondek, along with the extreme union leaders and academics that have been out there spreading their garbage. There's only one way to hold Gondek accountable, though. It is up to voters. She has to be fired in the next election, and it has to be done decisively. Calgarians are terribly apathetic when it comes to civic elections, and the price of that indifference presents itself in mayors like Gondek. Gondek's unfit to be Calgary's mayor. Calgarians have to come out in force to let the rest of the nation know she doesn't represent them. That means taking part in the next municipal election and in force next time. Calgary deserves better. I mean, she's actually made me miss the head and inchy, and that's saying a lot.